Welcome to the Braver Leaders podcast, the space where bold conversations meet real leadership. I'm Sam Harvey, founder of Braver Leaders, and I spend my days helping leaders and teams cut through the noise and focus on what actually matters: behaviour change. On this podcast, I bring you unfiltered conversations with experts who are driving real change: executives, entrepreneurs, professors, coaches, and culture shakers. We dive into the human side of leadership, the stuff that truly makes a difference. High-performance teams, culture shifts, tough conversations, vulnerability, and impact. We're getting stuck in. If that's your thing, hit subscribe, share this with a fellow leader, and check out braverleaders.com for our free resources, because leadership is not a solo sport. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Braver Leaders podcast. I am very, very excited to be joined today by my good friend, Michelle Thompson. Michelle is a former client of ours and has got a unique insight into the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is why change takes time. And I'm going to get Michelle to introduce herself because that's what we agreed. So Michelle, over to you. How are you? And please do us the honors.
Yeah, of course. I'm doing great. Excited to be talking to you today. This is my first podcast, so fingers crossed that things go well. I have about 19 years in the C-suite. I've had the pleasure of being thrown into positions where I don't necessarily have the experience, but I've learned quickly. And a lot of what I focus on is building things from scratch and helping companies scale. So business operations and HR professional at your service.
Amazing. And that's such a relevant skill set, isn't it, to what we're going to talk about today? Why, if you're in this position of being able to take companies and help them change to scale, why it's relevant for us to be able to have a conversation around the work that we did and why it takes time, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely.
so I think let's dive right in. You sent me a brilliant voice note which outlined your analogy for why or how change takes time in behavior change initiatives. Because um, I think one of the things that is difficult in the work we do is that it's proving impact, especially in the short term, is very difficult. And so I'd love you to regale us with your brilliant analogy.
I love how you coined it as brilliant. It's just a real everyday scenario that I think a lot of us have probably found ourselves in. And that is the like Netflix theory. So I have a friend named Annie, and she is the type of person who she's put in the work with me, right? Over the years, I trust everything that she tells me. She's very inspiring and she's never led me astray. So if Annie tells me to watch a Netflix show and
Mhm.
that I have to make it through to at least the third episode, then I'm going to try to do it. But I think that, you start watching the show, you watch that first episode, and afterwards you're like, oh God, that was so boring. I don't really want to continue through to this, but I trust Annie and I'm gonna make it to the second episode. You watch that second episode and you're like, okay, I'm getting like the character development. It's like coming together a little bit, still boring as hell, but it's Annie. So I've got to watch this third episode. You get to the third episode and then everything just comes together. And, there's the plot twists and the character development goes crazy. And now you're hooked and you binge watch, right? And I think it speaks a lot to like what we do as leaders is like you've got to like focus on the end goal and keep working through things, even if it's like a long and arduous process.
Yeah, definitely. And John Cotter talks a lot about this. I mean, he's kind of the one of the leading scholars on change in the world, and he talks about the fact that you need to be kind of ready when you start a change initiative to buckle in for 2 to 5 years. Um,
Mhm.
and so we were talking about this before we started recording, weren't we? That a lot of people come and say, "Great, can you do a team building exercise with us?" or a 1 day offsite, or we're getting the managers together, can you come and have a conversation with them? And in reality, it doesn't work, does it? It
Mhm.
doesn't create, excuse me, good behavior change. And
Yeah.
you found that out firsthand, really, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, a lot of leaders want these quick wins. And they think like, okay, we're going to have this like one leadership training and it's going to like magically improve morale
Mm,
and we're magically going to like align the team. The
mm,
roadmap's going to write itself, like
mm,
one and done. And you realize very quickly that you are trying to bring together a bunch of people who have
mm.
different life experience, different career experience, and they're all in a different place at the same time, if that makes sense. And
Yeah,
everyone really has their aha moments at different times. So when you have one
yeah,
leadership retreat or offsite or what have you, you're not getting that group to have that aha moment at the same time. And so you really
mm,
need to like put in the work to get everyone there. And I would say that working together, like I did have an aha moment, even though,
mm,
I've been in the people operations space for 20 years. So that was exciting for me
mm,
um, in that, I was able to find my voice that had been missing for
mm,
a while. But some other people on teams, it might take them longer to have that moment, and you really
mm,
do have to invest in the long term uh, gain there of just
yeah.
like sticking through with it and making sure that you're continuing the process and that you're not just like uh, you're checking a box, right? Because I think we fall into that trap quite a bit when it comes to these type of engagements.
Yeah, and it's not to say, is it, that there isn't a place for bringing people together and kind of creating camaraderie in these types of situations where it is just 1 day, but be
Mhm.
realistic about what it is that you're going to achieve, which is probably just a bit of a cool, bit of a laugh, get people together, maybe communicate a vision for the year that's coming, something like that. But you're not going to create long-scale behavior change. And I think what's really cool that you've pulled out there is these aha moments. It's essentially those when you're doing a change initiative, you need to look for the kind of signposts or the goalposts that are along the way, and the aha moments for different people are going to be those, aren't they? So, um, one of my favorite things is whenever I go into work with the team, there's always someone difficult. Not always, but most of the time there's someone difficult. And most of the time, 99% of the time, they end up being the biggest success story because they have their aha moment quite early, but then there'll be other people who are bought into it who have their aha moment a little bit later. And so it's actually signposting those aha moments, to use your term, and saying, okay, great, we've got this win here, and great, how do we now go and get that person to communicate that with the team and actually share their
Mhm.
success? And it's what I've heard described as a virtuous circle rather than a vicious circle. So like it's going up and like oh hey, I've realized this, go and share it. Great, love that. Oh, I've realized this. Great, go share that. And so it's this kind of constant lifting up of people and sharing of wins
Mhm.
along the way.
Yeah, I love that that there's always like one difficult person,
Yeah, yeah,
but I
100%.
think that when it's that is what makes it more exciting. And I feel
Mm,
like usually whenever you do have that one difficult person, the rest of the team probably also, looks to that person and
mm,
tries to gauge like what's happening there. And if you can turn that person around, it almost like legitimizes things
yeah.
when they become like the spokesperson for like, I
Mm.
don't know, and you too can change your ways or what have
Yeah,
you.
100%. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's a big part of it as well, isn't it? Because when we worked with you, obviously and I'd love to touch on this kind of idea that about how we became your Annie, or who your Annie was for us, because that the you didn't know us, right? And it was kind of
Mhm.
like, okay, this might be all right, let's see. And there was a lot of trust placed in us. But along the way, there were, as you said, there were kind of these people who then went and had their aha moments at different times. And then about a year later, wasn't it? You got back in touch with me and you're like, dude, I need you to know this. And it was like, and I think it came at like a really nice time as well because it was like I probably just had, I don't know, a shitty Thursday or something, and I got this
Yeah.
message from you on a Friday morning. It was like, dude, you need to know this. This has happened. This has happened. This has happened. And I was just like, yeah, girl, that's what I'm talking about. I told
Cosmic
you.
alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of times it takes time for things to like set in as well.
Mm.
Like you might leave a leadership training and you're like, what the fuck was that garbage? And then as time goes on, like things start to connect because you start like getting back into your like everyday. And then you start
Yeah.
hearing Sam Harvey's voice in the back of your head. And then you're like, oh, damn it, I did learn something.
Yeah, you're like, what did he say in his New Zealand accent?
Yeah,
Something like, "Hey, bro,
which
do
immediately
it this
gave you the
way."
credibility.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and it's I mean, hopefully you didn't walk out of there thinking what the fuck was this about, but maybe some people did, who knows? But the well, actually no, I don't think they did. I think everybody walked out of there going, we're pretty pleased with this.
Yeah,
But the point
100%.
was that we kind of had you as as a champion. We had
Hmm.
John as a champion.
Right.
You kind of become one early on. And then we had a couple of people who were quite difficult, but by the end, I think we're also champions. And so there was this kind of and that's a big part of change initiatives is having these people that you've kind of rightly called out who then become the advocates for this continued
Mhm.
change, right? And did you see that in your
Yeah.
team as the year progressed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like I said, those after you leave a session like that, it can take some time for things to like fall into place, and everybody is going to have their aha moment later. It doesn't have to be like at the time that you're learning something, but yeah, like I feel um like the waiting game
Mm,
took place, and you start to see change happen like little by little over time, which
mm,
I think is only human. You can't expect like overnight success. And I think that, you and I talked a little bit about that before we started recording too, is that I think a lot of people in leadership really try to chase these hacks, and it's like these like quick
mm.
wins like don't always turn out in the end, and you kind of like need to let them like simmer, and you'll see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. Yeah, the 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 general rule of thumb is if it's quick, it doesn't work long term,
Hmm.
right? If it's quick, the effect is quick too.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, anything really that is worth doing takes a bit of time. And that's to be honest, that's why we got into this game is that we're not here to try and do quick wins and one day offsites. Leave that up to John Goodson and Beyond the Team Retreats. Uh, nice little plug for my boy there.
Yeah.
But the
Sponsored
I
by
sponsored by
Beyond Team Retreats.
yeah, exactly. I'll submit my invoice after this, John. The idea being that, we got into this to create systemic change in teams that they can then go and have a bigger impact into the future and help people, grow their businesses and change the world, basically. Um, but I want to hang on for a second that bit that you said at the start, about your Annie. Was it Annie? It was Annie, wasn't it?
Annie, yeah.
Because we didn't know you, and
Mhm.
it's sort of yes, we were referred in, like often people are in this game, but I guess it was about building trust with you, wasn't it? And I'm keen to
Yeah.
know how that felt for you because it was I don't have a view of what that's like from the other side,
Mhm.
so I'd
Yeah.
love to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, obviously, because we had somebody on the team, John, refer you in, it was automatically like, okay, John's good people, so these must be good people too. But for me too, I think that it goes back to um, like the relationship, like how quickly you can build rapport with people. And I feel like you and Baz did such a good job of that, because you're authentic. And I think if you weren't, it would be very easy to see right through that very quickly. Um, and you guys dive like right into like the deep nitty gritty, and you're very like open and honest about everything. And I think that builds trust as well. I too am a very much like just like let it all out and try to figure things out, um, and lean into the authenticity. So I think that building the rapport quickly was really helpful for us. Um, and it kind of like cut through the bullshit so we can like get right down to it.
For
And
sure.
I think that because we did an offsite together where, you were in person too, it really helped kind of like build the rapport that we needed, with the team, because you can have those like good deep conversations like between sessions. And
Mm.
you guys had like the backup of like, success stories, and having seen a lot of things that like we were experiencing, or even just like things I have experienced in the past at other places.
Mm.
um, and equipping us with like the tool set, which I think plays into that like long game too, is like you can't have these trainings and it just be a lot of empty words. There really needs to be a lot of like take home kind of items of like, okay, when you're in X situation, here are some tools to like keep in your tool belt and
Mm.
break out whenever you're experiencing that. I think is super helpful.
Nice, nice. Thank you. And I guess you mentioned your past experience. I guess I'm keen to hear like you've run these kind of things where you've run change in business for, as you said, 20 years or so. And what have you kind of learnt over that in terms of change initiatives that has really stuck with you that is kind of or are key pillars and when you're trying to create these big systemic change initiatives?
Yeah. Like at its core, I think going back to what I was saying before is like that authenticity. I feel like in a lot of positions, everybody is, thinking of things as like very transactional, and like this is a job and you do X, Y, and Z, you get paid at the end of the day. And I
Mm.
think for me, whenever it comes to really initiating any kind of change initiative, it's being bought into it and genuinely like caring, about the people that are taking part in it, gets you the best results at the end of the day. So just as an example, I came into an organization and I was their first operations and people hire, and it was a
Mm.
small team, and everyone was a little shaken up by it because they thought, oh no, here comes this chick who's gonna like completely kill the vibe and like lay down the law. What are we getting into? And although the owners of the company really wanted like quick change and a lot of things to turn around, like I knew that I needed to invest the time in actually getting to know these people like on a human level, and like be kind of like their bro, which sounds really lame. Um, but letting them know that like I'm an advocate for you. Like,
Mm.
yes, I have things coming down from the top that I need to like push through, but if there are things that you don't agree with, like I will back you up on it, and I will never let you, um, like falter, and just creating the like safe space, I guess, to
Mm.
get
Mm.
their buy-in, and ensuring that, they have a voice, and an advocate. All that to say that I think that the foundation of like any change is like being genuine and
Mm.
having those genuine relationships with people, and be like inspiring as much as you can, because you want people to be bought in, right? Because when they're not, then it just creates this like negative like ripple effect throughout the organization.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That that that's something we believe in massively is getting people. I really like what you said, is giving them or being a voice, and giving them a voice. And that's something we do, right? So you'll remember the program goals workshop we did with you. That's exactly what that is. It's and we did it rapid fire with you guys, I remember. But it was like it's a way to get everybody into the room and say, here's the research we've done. What do you think? And then and here's what we're proposing for the workshops. Does that work for you? And it creates this, oh, okay, we have a say here. My voice matters. I have an opinion and you're listening. Yeah, yeah, absolutely we are. And then we go and change it based on that, right? So then that's how we work in this bespoke way, right? Of going, okay, so here's the research. Yes, we put a program together, but please give us your voice. And so you're to your point, like creating momentum and change initiatives is so important. So you start at the top, don't you? Most of the time, it's this kind of, not all of the time, but a lot of the time, change initiatives start from, hey, we need to do this. They can start from a groundswell, but you need to create both, right? It's this, okay, so your CEO at the time was like, cool, we want to do this. You're at the top with him, and then we need to get the buy-in of everybody else to go, okay, cool. So do you think this is a good idea? Do you agree with what we're saying? No, we don't. We disagree with this. We agree with this. We agree with this. We disagree with this. Okay, great. We'll go change it. And then when you get to doing the work, 50% of the work's done. Um, and that's maybe I've just revealed our trade secret. I don't think it's a trade secret.
You
But
fool.
yeah, I know. Yeah, good luck to anyone who wants to get into this game. But the point being that yeah, you do get into this like into the workshops, and people are like they already go, okay, I trust you a bit because I've been on a set in a session with you, and that session was about setting things up. And we get pushback on it. In fact, I got pushback on it and learnt a real lesson with a client in the UAE who said to me, "We don't have budget to do that bit." So I listened and didn't do it, and really regretted it the entire program because there was no buy-in. Um,
Yeah.
and it's so important. It's so important to actually create that long-term change, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like whenever you feel as though you have a hand in what is to come,
Mm.
it makes you feel like you're part of a cohesive team and that you're not just an individual on an island. And I feel like you guys listened very well to us because we're a small team and we have a lot of like uh fun personalities. Like I don't think anybody on our team holds back. And
Ain't
I
that the
think
truth?
that that was huge in the buy-in of like letting us like call things out like, hey,
Yeah.
this thing is going to be too hokey for our for our group. Like we don't
Yep.
want to do it.
Yep.
And you taking that
Mm.
feedback and being like, yeah, you know what? It's not the right fit for you all. Let's do something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. What was your aha moment?
Oh, put me on the spot. Um, well, I cried. I don't know if you remember.
Sure do.
Yeah. But no, I think that was like probably like one aha moment for me is like reminding myself that it's okay to be vulnerable because I was new to the team.
Mm.
So I wasn't quite um like feeling totally connected to everybody. And I think the one session that we did really kind of let me like let it all out and be vulnerable. And I think that opened up a lot of communication with the rest of the team. And I started to feel like coming into the fold a little bit more.
Cool.
Um, and I think another aha moment was a very uncomfortable part of the session where we went around and let everybody on the team know what we thought they were doing that was helping us move forward and what we thought was holding the team back, which I probably could have died. Like I wanted to be sick that day. Um, but the team shared with me that they thought that I was not vocal enough, and that, I have all this experience to really like share with everyone, and they didn't find that I would speak up enough. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You guys are right. And I think that that probably would not have come to light as as quickly as it did if we
Mm.
wouldn't have had that. And I think that it also built a lot of trust with the team that like, hey, your feedback is not like unappreciative.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so that was an aha moment for me of like, yeah, I need to start like
Mm.
speaking my mind, and
Mm.
not holding back. So
Of that. Yeah, it's that activity, Goldfish Bowl, get it a lot of people are very scared of it, and almost I've never actually had a negative reaction to it after it. Afterwards, people are always like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad, and that was actually really
yeah,
good, and I'm going to go do that with my teams now." So yeah, but the amount of fear that it creates up front is yeah, it's palpable, right? Like you all,
yeah,
from memory, one person in particular was like, I don't think we should do this. I do not think we should do this." And
yes,
and and I think you all, I was very grateful for this, trusted me because I was like, give it a go and let's see how we go. Because
yeah,
I had that feeling of like, I think this could be the thing.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
I think
yeah,
that's one of the big things that you did such a good job with us on is making us really fucking uncomfortable because it pulled out so much that like needed to be said or needed to really be worked on. And I think that because we did do a short-term engagement, we had to get messy quick
yeah.
to get down to the like real stuff. So
Yeah. And what about the other team members? Do you know anyone, or not any names, but just any other kind of things or pennies that dropped later? Because I think that's the point of this, isn't it? Is if I think if there had been more engagements and then more kind of follow-ups, though we catch those aha moments, and then, as I say, we
yeah.
can go and share them and make it more of a learning, and like a learning team is a powerful team, right? And so
Hmm.
you can kind of capture
Yeah.
those things and go, great, go share it, as I've said. So
Hmm.
yeah, what else came out?
Yeah. I feel like a lot really actually came from the goldfish um bowl exercise because like when somebody or when multiple people are giving you like the same feedback about something that
Yeah,
they would really love to see you change, I think it really sticks with you. And knowing that it's coming from like a good place and a positive place, I think gets people really
yeah,
focused on trying to create that change. Um, and I think that like you talked about how like there's usually like one difficult person on the team. And I think that bringing things to light for those people can sometimes feel uncomfortable, but yeah, like our team really kind of like owned a lot of the things that came out of that, and I
awesome.
feel like they've definitely like put in the work to make the behavioral changes based on that because you don't want to disappoint your team.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, when we were able to create that space for it.
For sure. And I mean, it wasn't the world's shortest engagement, was it? We worked with you for a couple of months, didn't we? It just wasn't a
True.
super long one. But I think,
Yeah.
to your point in the voice note, it was like probably a year later when you're like, oh, I'm seeing this now. And so there's
Hmm.
some real power in that discovery, I think. So yeah. Mate, well, look, I'm so grateful for you coming and sharing your experience. It's always lovely to spend some time with you. So thank you very much. And yeah, look, I'd love to continue the conversation about how we can make bigger, better change programs all around the world. And yeah, perhaps we can do it again soon.
Yeah, I would love that. I really appreciate you asking me to be a part of this and letting me live my goal of trying to be more vocal about things. So
Yeah.
look, years later,
Yeah.
still reaping the benefits of our session together.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much again. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Braver Leaders podcast. If this conversation sparks something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a fellow leader who needs to hear it. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode, and check out our free resources as well on braverleaders.com, because great leadership starts with action. We'll see you next time.